I don't know. I wish it wasn't the case. You know what? That is not fair. You know, I am very hurt by that. It should be 50-50. All right, female, male directors should get the same amount of movies. Doesn't matter who's doing work there.
I think a lot of female directors, well, for me, what I see on like TV is like they don't get a lot of exposure.
I'm sure it stems from just the inequality that goes on in the workforce, which is not as common today, but there's still like traces of it as far as, you know, like men getting higher positions than women.
Because the world's ruled by men.
They're the ones that started the chain of movies or directing, just like they started the chain of everything else.
It's been so much like societal just transformation, just like with the history of the culture and like the country, just, you know, the whole male you know, the man's world, like perspective on things. You know, it's always been kind of like, you know, the underdog role with the female, just going back from, you know, the way early times when, you know, women's suffrage and all that stuff too. So it's been a lot to like to overcome and just to really get on that equal playing field in general. So
I don't think they're more popular necessarily. I just think there are more male directors than female directors.
There's probably less female directors just in general overall, I'm assuming, like just as far as women, the ratio of women to men that direct major motion pictures.
I just think there's more of them because women are just now getting that power in Hollywood. I don't think they're necessarily any better.
I think it's obvious that there are definitely more male directors than there are female directors, but then I think it just goes off of what the box office gives. You know, typically male directors tend to bring in more box office dollars than female directors, and as soon as a female director brings in a blockbuster movie, you know, and does it a few times, then I think we'll start seeing the rise of female directors.
You know, you're Michael Bay, you're Christopher Nolan, but I can barely name the girl that did Hurt Locker which won Best Picture, so that says something. And it could just be me, but I don't know if it's because they're female, but I don't know. I just don't see their faces as often as I do a Michael Bay or a Christopher Nolan or anything like that.
I think a lot, especially like nowadays, the whole female standard is a lot more like respected than it has been, and certainly like right up there on par with the males. But in that respect, as far as like who gets more of the deserved like accolade for that, I would think there probably is not quite as much on the female side, which is unfortunate.
It's easier for them? I don't know. It's kind of like an art. There's more artists, more male artists than female artists, or more male artists are more recognized than women.
Not just in the movie industry, but just in like every industry. It seems like that male influence kind of has a tendency to override, whether it should or shouldn't. It just, you know, that's the general outlook out there, I guess.
Only because it is a position of great power and influence, and being that we're in somewhat of a chauvinist society that starts with the men at the top, that's just one of the positions that women might have had a harder time getting into, because that is definitely something that requires not just a person to be able to lead, but the producer has to have faith in the fact that the director is going to be able to lead a successful movie. And I think a lot of that, I don't know that there's as much confidence in a female persona as there would be in a male persona in that kind of leadership role.
You know, I don't like to ever think of myself really as a female director, as a lesbian director, I think that limits you and it boxes yourself. I think you just have to be a filmmaker. You have to, your success is limited or unlimited by what you believe about yourself and about your work. if you believe that females are a minority, if that's your belief, you know, that can limit you. So I choose not to think too much about statistics or anything like that. I just choose to keep moving forward as a director and don't get caught up in the politics. I don't consider my work, I mean, my work I consider to be therapeutic and my own voice and my own art. And whether or not someone wants to view that as, you know, my work being a feminist voice, then that's their choice. But for me, my work is just a representation of what's inside of me. It's my voice. And I don't like to label it and I don't like to box it. It just is a free flow of my heart and my soul. There's a big difference between directing film and reality television. Well, actually, it's not that big if you really think about it, because most reality TV nowadays is scripted. So, you know, you're having to work with real people like you would work with actors. You have specific things that you need to get in order to tell a story. And so reality TV and films, the process is becoming more and more alike, whereas before with reality TV, things were much more documentary style, but now it's much different, so it's very similar. With TV, you're having to deal with networks and you're having to deal with a lot of different producers, and you don't have as much creative control or as much of a voice in TV, whereas a film, you as a director, you really, at least for me, try to obtain a substantial amount of control for your art. So that makes it very different. I don't write things specifically for anybody. I write for myself. It's my art, it's my expression. And I really don't have any, like, I don't need to be in the mainstream. I just need to tell my stories. I need to express myself. I need to make movies. I can't live without making movies. And if my movies have two women in them, or a man and a woman, or a father and a daughter, or a goat and a piece of cheese, I don't care. Like, I have to get it out of me, and I have to connect with people through my films. And, you know, I love that my films have helped people that are in the gay community. That means so much to me, and I wouldn't take that back for the world, but I don't feel like I make things specifically for people. I make them so that I can exercise something inside of myself that needs to be released. Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely feel like I've had opportunities to break into the mainstream by doing things a certain way, and I refuse to do that, because then I am sacrificing my art, I'm sacrificing myself. And there have been times where I've learned very hard lessons by going against my own intuition and my own gut when it came to projects, and saw the emotional turmoil that put me through doing that. So now it's not important to me to do things a certain way to make more money or to be popular. Screw that. Like, all I want to do is make my movies and connect with you, with anybody who sees this, with anybody that sees anything that has to do with my work. I just want to connect with you through my work. And whether or not that's mainstream, I don't care.
that your intellectual capacity is around that of a 7-year-old.
Do we get a balloon with these?
All of us? Or just her?
You know it's easier to be killed by a terrorist than it is to get married over the age of 40.
That's not true. That statistic is not true.
That's right. It's not true. But it feels true.
Have you had sex? Of course not. I don't even know it. No, I mean cyber sex. No? Well, you know what? Don't do it. Because the minute you do, they lose all respect for you.
We're not worthy!
Wayne's World.
I broke the window again.
Look who's talking.
What a sweetie.
You must be thinking the same thing I am.
Lunch.
You stay where you are. I have an intruder in my house.
You don't understand. I'm dating your daughter.
You're dating my daughter?
Now, who would have thought that would be worse news?
Oh my God, what is that?
I'm sorry.
What is it?
It's the morning.
Alvin and the Chipmunks 2. The Squeak.
Oh, relax. Who's going to be singing Chipmunks?
Mamma Mia.
So who is your dad? I don't know.
Bend it, like Beckham. Want something more?
Put the ball, shoot the ball. Your sister's getting engaged, and you're sitting here watching this skinhead boy.
Yeah, surf it like a wave, man.
Thanks, thanks.
Freeze! Try and catch me! Hey! Skip it for the...
And Julie.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner?
Oh my.
You have no real talent for cooking.
Where's Olive?
Oh.
I can't slow down. I can't. Frank.
Come on, Olive.
Come on,
Come on,
Olive.
honey.
Come on, sweetie. Jump. Jump in the car. Can't stop.